Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony CA, and this is yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome to the broadcast. We are looking into covering issues of which something is happening in the great state of Minnesota. The honorary consulate here, we heard, is being closed. Somebody who has been following this issue, a community advocate, is here to lay on us all the details. And in fact, the community has a communication that it has penned, and we will be talking about a letter as well. We understand as we speak there is some kind of a protest that is going on because the community is not prepared to swallow this decision because they are not prepared for it. They think this decision is very wrong. So folks, don't go anywhere. If you are just joining, of course, this is the Hour of Politics with me and Sincere, your guy. Hit that share button. Let us talk the politics of our country. Now, in addition to that, they alleged 70,000 thieves arrested in Sierra Leone. What is your take? Also, folks, should Joseph Walker, or who should be Joseph Walker picked for vice president? Also, we are looking at has the CDC falling out of favor with Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson has some tough words for them there. And also, are the attacks against Lehman Bowie at her own invitation? But let us get to the main topic for today, or the main issue for today. I have in studio with me the man Samson H. Williams, a community advocate. Mr. Williams, it's good to have you.
Thank you, Mr. C.
All right. So we heard and we reported the last time you were here. You were here with Ambassador, Mr. George. And you guys were able to inform the Liberian people that the consulate, the honorary consulate, is being closed. Where are we right now? We understand there was a high-power delegation, high-power meeting from the community yesterday in Brooklyn Park. Update us, where are we right now?
Thank you for having me once more, Mr. C. I appreciate it. This is a community concern. This is the issue that has to do with the closure of the consulate here in Minnesota. Is a grave issue. And yesterday, we as a community, the Liberian community here in the state of Minnesota, got a notice out by the Office of Liberians in Minnesota. And we turned up last night for a community town hall meeting. And that meeting was very successful, very well attended. The OLM got a copy of a letter that was sent from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, signed by the Deputy Minister for Legal Affairs, in person of DWE Gray, Councilor DWE Gray. And this letter is public. I have a copy of the letter here. And so the community deemed it necessary to call an emergency town hall meeting, which is spearheaded by the board of the organizations of Liberia and Minnesota. And that meeting was held last night from 5:30 p.m. At that meeting, we listened to, we read, the OLM read the letter from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to us. And after that, we listened to a testimony from Mr. Jackson George, who is the honorary consul here at the Liberian consulate in the state of Minnesota. And after that, there were individuals like myself who were frantic enough in giving their position on what we think we want the government to respect. But we started off by setting up a select committee that would do communication to the office of the president, asking for his quick intervention in this, disturbing and very frustrating, happening right now. After that meeting, the select committee drafted a communication that was addressed to His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia, and that letter is being confirmed that it is on the president's desk as we speak. the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota have been able to confirm that. I do not, let me set a disclaimer, I do not speak on behalf of the OLM or the Organizations of Liberians in Minnesota. Like you rightly said, I speak as a committed advocate who deemed it necessary to bring to our people attention that this would not be, a good idea if it were to happen. And the people have been very supportive. We stage a protest as we speak. There are people out there in the consulate that are protesting. If you follow KMTV right now, you will see everything that has been happening since 9:30 a.m. Personally, I've made calls to the Ministry of State, and it's confirmed that our letter is on the president's desk. I was privileged enough to accept on a select committee to draft this letter as mandated by the community. So in that town hall meeting last night, after this letter was read, it was agreed by the entire community that, number one, we sent a written communication to the President of the Republic of Liberia expressing our frustration and dissatisfaction over this decision. Number two, that we stage a peaceful protest today, and going forward, it might likely go all through the week. The consulate open one day a week now, which is Wednesday, but you see that people are here. There was a huge number of people here today, kind of talking about this issue, and the OLM was fully represented, and other community, small business owners and community members were here, and some are stay here. And so that issue was addressed. People send a message out to the president, frantically telling the president that we do not want to see this happen. Mr. CA, if you look at the letter, I'm not sure if you have a copy of the letter, I can send that to you. But if you look at the letter that was sent, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much again for that update. There are a lot of things you said there. First, you talk about a communication that came from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Is that true?
Yes, Mr. CA. People in cyberspace, if you're looking, this is the letter that came from.
So talk to us. You have the letter. We haven't received it yet. What did the letter say? What is in that letter? Quickly.
All right. So, Mr. CA, first thing the letter is, first of all, recognizing that this consulate here in Minnesota was established in a working relationship with the community. So it was not just established based on government decision. It was advocated for by this community, and they acknowledged that the community was part of the decision making and the establishment of this consulate here in Minnesota. And the honorary consul here, Honorable Jackson George, was vetted in to the position. They acknowledged that. They also went ahead to let us know that there is a company called VFS Global that is going to be taking over the process of Liberian passport processing. That includes the biometrics. So it is stated in the letter that VFS Global is going to be taking over, and that today, January 17, 2023, VFS Global will send a representative over to come and receive the passport or biometric processing machine from the Liberian consulate here in Minnesota, Brooklyn Park. It will be taken to an address in Roseville, Minnesota, where the VFS Global has claimed to have an established office. And the contact person there is one Mr. Frank Ilolo Kwame Dogbe. And from all indication, you and I know the name Kwame obviously is related to a Ghanaian background from a Ghanaian tribe. And so with his
the last name Dogberry.
It is Dogbe, D-O-G-B-E, Dogbe.
Okay, go ahead.
And so they also mentioned that there's going to be an additional $60 charge for service fee. It's referred to as service charge. All right, service fee, so to speak, per application. That's per passport application. Now, from my knowledge,
and hold on, let's take it piece by piece. People are following. I want them to understand. So, if there is a service fee to be added to the cost of the passport, all right. So, what will it bring the cost of obtaining a passport to?
Okay, so again, I do not speak on behalf of the consulate. I do not speak on behalf of the OLM. I speak as a community activist who is very much well informed about this process. So the passport process, acquiring or renewing your Liberian passport, you first of all will have to go online and fill up the application, and you will have to pay a fee of 165 United States dollars. And then after that, you got to come into the consulate and do a biometric and pay 100 United States dollars. So that's $265. And then your passport will be processed, and do your picture as well. Now your passport will be processed in Liberia and sent back to the consulate here in Minnesota, and then you will be called upon to come and pick up your passport. So we're talking about the passport yet, not the visas. So that is the process. So there is no additional fee to that. So that is a $165 application fee and $100 biometrics, making that $265. That is charged now. That's what it is for now. Now, with this letter, the additional $60, if this company VFS Global were to take on this initiative, then it means that you will be paying an additional $60, which makes that what, $325, I believe,
about that
you will now be paying. All right. And so that is what the government is telling us through the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs under the signature of the Deputy Minister of Legal Affairs.
So the decision now, from what you told us the last time you were here, was that they are trying to upgrade the honorary consulate to a full consulate. Is that what is in the works now?
Yes, it is also mentioned in the letter that they have an intention to establish a full consulate in Minnesota, which in my opinion is a very good thing. I think it's great that we have a full consulate, considering the population of Liberians here in Minnesota and considering the population of Liberians in the entire Midwest that this consulate is already serving, has been serving for over the period of 6 years. So the problem we're having now is if there should be a full consulate established, then it means that there should be a process initiated and there should be a transitional period. And within the transitional period, a team will be set up to do a smooth transition. Now, I said this on this show the last time. It is said by our people that before you plant a new mat, you will have to sit on the old mat. So what is the essence of us getting rid of this consulate now when we have not seen a full, projection as to how this new full consulate is going to be established? So how are the people going to receive these services before the establishment of the full consulate? Now, to answer that question, the government of Liberia is telling us we're going to go to VFS Global and they're going to be processing passport. Mr. CA, here's another thing that is in the letter as far as visas. They're saying as of February 18, no Liberian will be able to come over to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota to receive their visas. You will now have to send your passport again to Washington, D.C. or New York. Something from the opening of this letter, something that the government of Liberia recognized that has been a hardship. So in other words, you are telling us that we're sending you back to that hardship, until we are able to establish a full consulate. That is not in the interest of the people. That is not how a government should be in the interest of the people. Because if you recognize that I have been sick and you put me in JFK Hospital to be there for 6 months, before the 6 months is over, you're telling me, you know what? I will send you to a clinic, just write down Sony Win, to be there. You're not helping me. You're taking me from a hospital to a clinic. Okay? You may say, well, the clinic is
Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, what you are saying here is that this new institution that the government more than contracted, do you know whether they have done all the preparatory works, registration processes with the U.S. government to start operation? Because you said they now have an office in Roseville where they will start work. Have they done everything they need to do to start work? Do you have that information?
We do not have that information. As a matter of fact, it would be my expectation that the government of Liberia, through the foreign ministry, would be providing us with those information. And then we wouldn't have people here protesting, because that would be work in progress, right? But we do not have that information. We do not know much about this company. We do not know their track record. We do not know if they have business registration in the state of Minnesota. We do not know if they have the right to operate in the United States of America. That's one. Number two, if you go and look up that company is a Ghanaian company. It is situated in Accra, Ghana. And they have a full address. Okay. They have a full Ghanaian address. So an individual can come to the United States of America and rent a space, office space, and establish a small business. But we have to see the context of that business. We have to validate the registration and legitimacy of the establishment of that business. and the residency of that business within the state. This is something that the government has not been able to clarify, with the community. Here is my big argument to that. If this consulate was established with the involvement of the Liberian community, why is the Liberian community, is out of the loop on this decision? Why are we not coming back to the table, letting the community know that, remember, since 1992, since 1993, you have come up to us, you wanted a consulate, we gave you a consulate, an honorary consulate. Now we are ready to establish a full consulate. This is what we want to do. This. We're not telling the government to make us part of the decision making, but all we are saying, we need to be aware because you came to us before and we advocated for this. It was not the government unilateral decision that brought the consulate here. It was out of an advocacy by the people of Minnesota.
Mr. Williams, so what I'm getting from you now is that the honorary consulate that has been serving Liberians with passport renewal and the issuing of visas is not closed, and that there is a full-fledged consulate that is in works now, but it will not be able, the Liberians will not have to send their passports to Washington, D.C., which means that the new consulate that they are not talking about is not prepared to operate at full capacity, even to the capacity of the honorary consul that they are closing. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is absolutely correct. Now, this is not going to be a consulate. This is a private company, private business that's going to be handling the affairs of Liberian passport. Okay. So this is not even a consulate. So that's what I said. If you're going to establish a full consulate, there should be a process. Right? And we are not aware of a process that is in play. So we can't speak to that. We're not the government. But on the other hand, we feel like it is our right to know that there's going to be a full consulate, and this is the process that we are following. And this is the reason. If you look at this communication, there is no information as to how a full consulate is going to be established, but there is an immediate decision to close down this consulate and allow the private company to start processing passport while we send our applications for visa to Washington, D.C. and New York.
And the communication that in your possession does not say the private company is going to start operating an honorary consul just as the one that has been existing.
No, it does not say it's going to start operating. As a matter of fact, I will read just a line here for you. As regards to the services, we propose a 1-month period for the transition back to the embassy in Washington, D.C. This meaning that January 18 to February 18, 2023, it is expected that even before the 18th of February, applicants for the visa services will be directed to mail applications to either the embassy in Washington, D.C. or the consulate in New York. So that means, Mr. CA, that the VFS Global will not be operating as a consulate. They are a contracted company. And in fact, this letter also states that they have already signed a contract with VFS Global. What kind of contract? We have no idea, but you have signed a contract and you're telling us in a communication from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all right, that this company is going to start processing visas and biometrics. Now you are dividing the process. That's not consulate operation. So you take a business contract and give it to a small business company, and then you take the bigger portion of it and send it back to Washington, D.C. There is a disadvantage to the Liberian community, my brother, and this is why I'm here. I will have to go to Washington, D.C. or New York to get a visa, or we have to pay extra money. And if you're calling this a hardship, you already putting me through hardship. If I would have to go to the post office, mail my passport over to Washington, D.C., and we have to wait for my passport to come back in the mail, let's assume, God forbid, it was something serious, maybe a death situation that I needed to go to Liberia quickly. Wait, a person can drive 7 hours and come here from Kenner, North Dakota, or from Fargo, North Dakota, South Dakota, Sioux Falls, whatsoever, Iowa, Des Moines, whatsoever,
Wisconsin, and all that. Yeah, even Chicago, somebody can drive for 7 hours to come here.
And come here. Okay, but you're telling me, number one, I'll have to buy a plane ticket and fly myself to Washington, D.C. or New York to apply for a visa, or better still, I have to go to the post office and expedite the process and paying additional money, whereby I could just walk in here and get a visa the same day and walk outside. But you are making this process so difficult like it used to be before, reason for which, in the first place, the Liberian people did this advocacy for the establishment of this consulate. So I feel like it's a contradiction, it's a slap in the face of the Liberian people here in the diaspora.
Also, Mr. Williams, the communication did not say when the full-fledged consulate will be the establishment of it will be completed and start operation. It is not indicated in that communication.
It is not indicated, Mr. C. You are correct. It is not indicated within the letter. And so we cannot, at this point, as advocates, we cannot confirm that there's going to be a full consulate established. Again, I mean, we do not see a process in play. We see that you're sending a private company to come and pick up today the biometrics machine. And we see that as of February 18, no one is going to be able to come to the Liberian consulate in Minnesota to get a visa. So
and was the communication there is say addressed to Mr. George and does the communication say when he will have to now submit report, because he has had in his possession documentation for the Liberian government because he has been doing a piece of job on behalf of the Liberian people. Did they give timeline when he has to submit his report to this contractor that the government now has hired?
Mr. C, I knew our background would never for a party continue to remain. Because we're from the same alma mater. We almost think the same. Now, here is the thing, Mr. C. You know that reporting, especially being contracted or hired by the government, if you're supposed to transition, that involves or that includes you reporting and turning over significant documents, that pertains the work you have been carrying on. But here, nothing is mentioned about report. Nothing is mentioned. The only time the word transition was mentioned in here is when the letter states that there is a 1 month period that Mr. George or the honorary consul in Minnesota is going to be issuing visa till February 18. That's all this letter is saying. The letter has not addressed the issue of report. This letter has not addressed the issue of, whether you're still going to be supplied visa even up to the 18th of February, whether you're still going to be supplied those. How should you approach the community? This letter does not say any of that. The letter is very immediate, telling Mr. George on today, January 17, that you should turn the machine or equipment over to VFS Global, and the representative will be there. And the representative telephone number is in the letter. Okay, his name and telephone number is in the letter. That you should send this thing over to him.
Yeah, some say on the other hand, though, Mr. George now has been reporting to somebody. Right.
Yes,
so yes. I think there is an assumption here now, now that your services are no longer needed, you have to report all other things that have been in your possession to the person who is designated for him to report to. Can we assume that, or is that's the procedure?
We shouldn't make assumption, Mr. C. Here is the thing: the person that is to that now. Let's get this straight. There is no one that the government of Liberia is asking to replace Mr. George, because you have not established a consulate. So you're closing down a consulate without a consulate. There is no proper replacement for what a consulate is. If you're closing down a school, that means you're telling the student, we're going to go to the other place, you should have a school. All right. So there is not another consulate that has been established, with the exception of the two that I met, the embassy in DC and the consulate mentioned here in New York. So what is happening here, Mr. C, is that the government is not concerned about report, because it was been stated in this letter. The government is not concerned about anything else. They're concerned about closing this place down and making this to appear like it's some kind of a sentiment. And I am concerned about that. Now, during the town hall meeting last night, someone asked the question, is this, and just to answer your question, the letter was addressed directly to Mr. George. Now, we have so many other consulates around in the United States. And this letter says all honorary consuls, it says under the new regulation, all honorary consul will cease to function. Okay, but Mr. George is the only one who have received this communication and told us last night in that town hall meeting that he made contacts with other honorary consuls and none of them have received same communication. So should we say this is personal? Should we say it is political? I mean, I don't
should we say that they are doing it one at a time? Maybe Minnesota is the biggest honorary council in the system, in the entire foreign service. I mean, biggest in terms of number of person and our applications they are receiving. So they want to start with a big one. Can we think that?
Okay. Well, then even if we thought that was the case, Mr. C, then why would you want to start closing the bigger one that serves more people, but it's a small one that is serving less people? All right. So on the other hand, I would rather close the smaller ones and keep the bigger one open until there's a smooth transition. But if you say Minnesota is the biggest one, you want to close it first, that doesn't make sense to me.
So let's come to the communication written by the community to the president of Liberia, taking zero exception to the process of transition here. You are saying we don't have the power to stop the government, even though I'm shouldn't say the people have the power to demand from the government. All right, they set up the government, but you are saying that we are taking zero exception to the process of transition here because it will affect us. First of all, it's increasing the cost of obtaining a visa of passport by $60, and second of all, the transportation I'll be attached to is because if I need my passport faster or my visa faster because of emergency, then I have to get a plane ticket. When if I have to get a plane ticket to go to Liberia, that's the additional cost, right? So that is why you're saying, well, why can't this one be operating until the full-fledged one is established and ready to go? So we don't have to go through this. So you pen this communication. What are the things in the communication to the president of Liberia? What are your demands or why are you asking?
So first of all, Mr. Sia, we started off by, telling the president, how effective this consulate has been and how helpful it has been to the Liberian people. So we did some bullet points in a letter that I forwarded to you. So the Liberian nationals will have to travel to Roseville. Even if it was in Roseville, you're looking at over 25,000 Liberians that are within Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Crystal, New Hope, Maple Green. You're asking these 25,000 people to start going down to Roseville. That almost, over half-hour drive, considering the weather and whatever condition, to a Caucasian-dominant city. That's the first thing we pointed out. If you look at the city of Roseville, you got less than 300 Liberians living in Roseville, all right? And you have the majority of Liberians living in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Crystal, New Hope, Maple Grove, Plymouth, and stuff like that, and you're moving that over there. That's a disadvantage. The second thing is the new regulation we're talking about here is counterproductively reimpose the same.
Mr. Williams, I don't mean to stop you. I think these are bullet points, form the entire meat of the communication to the president. So I will let me read them, okay? One, Liberian nationals will have to travel to Roseville, Minnesota for passport application processing and Washington, D.C. or New York for visa services. This disjoint approach moves crucial immigration services out of the city of Brooklyn Park and nearby city of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where Liberians are highly concentrated, approximately 25,000, and transfer it to a Caucasian-dominated city of Roseville, which is home to less than 300 Liberians. What is that important?
So, like I said before, if you, the city of Brooklyn Park, the city of Brooklyn Center, the city of Crystal, New Hope, Maple Grove, Golden Valley, these are cities that are, highly populated by Liberians. The dominant of the Liberian people population in Minnesota, lives in these cities, right? And you are taking this thing to a city that has less than 300 Liberians, right? And asking all of these people to move over there. That's number one. Number two, you are sending this to a Caucasian dominant city. Okay, we don't want to say this is racism. We don't want to say it's discrimination. We don't want to play any political or race card here. All right, but we are saying it's a disadvantage to the people. Travel wise.
So your point there is that where you have more people, why not have the consulate close to the people? Why not provide the service where the people are? Other than now creating the opportunity, creating this kind of hardship in your words. For them to drive further away. When it is possible to do it nearby, just as it has been the case with the honorary consulate, right? That is your point there. All right. Then the second one here, you are saying the new regulations operate counterproductively to reimpose the same hardship of traveling to New York. Traveling to New York for visa services, which Councilor Gray, Deputy Minister for Legal Affairs and author of the letter, admits was the main driving force for establishing the honorary consulate in Minnesota in the first place. So explain that for us.
Okay, so the letter from the Foreign Ministry on the signature of the Deputy Minister for Legal Affairs states that I want to find out that place.
I think what you are saying there is that The reason this
You
consulate
recognize,
was established,
right?
so many reasons, or a few reasons.
Right.
One, New York or Washington, D.C. was too far from the huge
Mhm.
population of Liberians in the Midwest. So they
Right.
advocated that they have an honorary consul closer to them. Now they have
Right.
it. So how does it make sense then? And now you are saying it does not make sense. Now you're taking it away to bring back the same hardship for which they wanted it here in the first place. So you're not making a
Right.
good decision. That is your explanation there. Did I say that right?
That exactly is what we are saying. All right,
Mhm,
Mr. CA. If
mhm,
you say that it was a hardship, I mean,
mhm,
we felt bad. You didn't have to drive, you didn't have to fly, you didn't have to go mail your passport and stuff like that. It was putting
mhm,
financial hardship on the people, and this is how we want to be there for our people. Now we have to
mhm,
understand one thing: the honorary council here was created by proclamation.
mhm,
Okay, by presidential proclamation. Not just someone coming up and say because the Liberian people in Minnesota advocated for it, so we got it started. No, it was by proclamation. Even if we advocated for it outside of a proclamation, it would not have been established. So
mhm.
now you are telling us we recognize the hardship then. But are you also telling us now additional $60, additional travel affairs, or extra spending for mailing passport back and forth, or envelope back and forth to get our passport and visas? Hardship? It's hardship. You may think that additional $60 is nothing, but if you're servicing over 200 persons in a day, you multiply 60 by 200 is a lot of money. And the $60 you're talking about, you call it service fee. Who is that money going to? It's going to VFS Global. And if you ask the Liberian government now to tell us that it is on record that the honorary council in Minnesota, and like I said, there's a disclaimer. I am not speaking on behalf of the honorary council. I'm speaking as a community advocate. All right. If you ask them, the honorary council will not even charge you $20 if you came to do your passport, and all you needed to do was wait. Your passport will come from Liberia, and it will get here. You come and pick it up. It didn't matter if you're driving from Chicago to come and pick it up. If you wanted your passport to be mailed to you because you can't come and drive that 6 hours to pick it up, then you will send your own envelope. So there is no additional money being charged for this. But you're telling us pay that extra cost. So you're ignoring the hardship. No, you're not suffering again. In other words, the government is telling us we're not suffering again. There's no hardship again. Oh,
And
Liberians in Minnesota, Liberians in the diaspora, you got money now.
your other point here is about cost. The cost has increased now.
Correct.
With the contracting of the services of this VFS Global. That has increased by $60. So instead of a citizen or a Liberian citizen obtaining their passport for $265 total, now it has jumped to $325, now putting additional what or cost on it. And even with that $325, they might incur some money or expensive because they have to send it now to Washington, D.C. or New York.
Yeah, so you get your Liberian passport. Let's distinguish the two here. So in the process of getting a Liberian passport, you will have to go online, do the application. Now, there are people who do not understand the application process. Would they be going to VFS Global to help them? Right here in the consulate in Minnesota, you're able, now we have people who are in our community who are seniors that can't read or write. We have people who are not very literate, who are illiterates, that are not able to do this application themselves. So they come to the same consulate here. So you see the extensive help that the consulate is even rendering to the people, services that are not paid for. They get help here in doing the application, and the application gets submitted. They do the biometric and they leave. But you are telling us if we go to VFS Global, you know, now you're not going to get that kind of service over there. Let's be honest. You're not going to get it.
How you know that?
Well, then you would say that in the letter. You would break this down. That is the reason why we call for a process. All right, because these are questions that need to be answered. These are things that will be written up because we want to see that the full services that are rendered in the consulate in Minnesota will be rendered over at VFS Global. But you can't tell me if I can't do the application well, I will have to go all the way to DC because the Ghanaian company here will not be able to help me to do that. So that means I have to fly to DC or New York to have someone help my old lady to do the application if I can't read or write. Whereby you're able to sit in the lobby in the consulate and someone can help you fill up an application or get online and help you do the application for your passport, or can help you fill up the form for your visa. So all of these things you might, please.
Yeah, so I was just about to ask because sometimes we have other issues to go to, and I know you have a protest that is going on there. You know, you want to join your people to air this. So you said this letter that you communicated that we are reading from is on the desk of the president. I know things are moving so fast Have you gotten any words from the president's office or somebody close to his office that the president is looking into this, and are they going to do something serious about it? And in addition to that, the Liberian ambassador based in Washington, D.C., I understand that the honorary consular has been on his leadership. Has he had anything to say in this matter at all?
Let me start with the last one. The ambassador, we were told by Honorary Consul Jackson George that the ambassador is in touch, and the ambassador is only acting upon the mandate of the president. It almost appears like his hands are tied. He can't do anything. He has not said whether the process is okay. He has not said whether he is a contributing member of this, very, fast change that is coming about within our community. So he is not speaking for or against. So to answer to whether we have heard back from the office of the president, no, we have not heard back, but we have confirmed the delivery of that letter to the president. So this letter was sent to the president through the Ministry of State, through the office of the Minister of State. And we understand today the Minister of State was being commissioned, I believe, as Minister of Purpose. So we consider this a basic day for them. Now standing, they have the message. We were told by the Ministry of State that letter is right now on the decks of the president. So our expectation is that the president will be able to look into that as soon as possible.
So you are an advocate. I know advocates also have their political side. Do you fear any political ramification or implication with this decision and the way it's been done from the government of Liberia? Any word of caution from them, given the huge population of Liberians who have enormous influence on their families in Liberia?
So let me say this. We have family and friends that work in the government. I would not label this government as people or that will be able to go after, our individual relatives just because we are, distancing ourselves from the decision of the foreign ministry. We do not expect that. I have, I have respect for government, and I do have respect for this government. Politically, I've never joined a political party. I'm not a member of any political party, not in the U.S., not in Liberia. As a matter of fact, in Liberia, I was a police officer, so my SOP, did not allow me to, openly side with a political party. That does not mean I did not vote. Even here now, where I am not a security personnel, I've studied politics to a higher level, and I'm a candidate of a master's of political leadership. So that tells you how much I'm involved with politics and advocacy. But I can tell you for sure, we do not want to tie this not yet, to it being politically driven. However, we cannot rule that out. So our people here are afraid that this is something political. And if it is, then we will have a huge protest. This is not a threat to the government. This is nothing to scare the government, but it is the right of the people to protest. We are working on licenses in all of the 12 states within the Midwest to allow the people to protest. Our next initiative would be to get the U.S. government involved in this. So we will start with the city council. We have sent a communication. We're working on a communication actually to the city council. We just had a council member who just left my office. And we also are working on reaching this over to the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison office. We're also working on reaching this to the governor's office. That when we are ready to protest on this, then we can communication.
What is the significance of reaching to Americans to solve Liberians' problem? When are we going to get away?
Liberians have already dwelt on that, but let me say, we're not just looking for them to solve our problem. We are going to be protesting, and so we do not want to get in the streets, and then we get interference from the police, or they think, well, we don't want to get labeled. We don't want to get profiled by this process. So what we
Mr. Williams, in all this, right, quickly here, in all this, as a political thinking person, that and CDC was birthed out of here, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Maybe we can say Minnesota, there won't be CDC, just for the politics of it. So I'm saying to say, are you hopeful, given the history that CDC came from here, Minnesota? And this is CDC now, that this decision is coming from, whether it's coming from the office of the president, but it is coming from the CDC government that is trying to subject the people of Minnesota that gave birth to CDC, that produced the government, to further hardship. Are you hopeful that CDC will be wise enough, or the government will be wise enough to do the right thing that is expected and demanded by you?
Mr. CA, that is a great question. we have a very high expectation when it comes to how Minnesota and Minnesotans or Liberians in Minnesota will be treated by this government. You said it just right. The Congress for Democratic Change was established here in the state of Minnesota, so to speak, in the city of Brooklyn Center, where I live. And if we want to practice any kind of bias, we would say we won't be personal. This is our party. This is the state-owned establishment. We are hopeful that the president will consider that and listen to our cry as our son, our brother, and our friend. And there are a lot of them that are in the government that are from here in Minnesota. We are asking them to add their voice to this and saying it is the voice of the Liberians in Minnesota that we need to listen to now. We want this not to happen. We want them to please consider our recommendation.
Mr. Williams, we want to thank you so very much. We pray that while you are advocating for the government in power will be able to listen, and I understand what you are asking for is a smooth transition from an honorary consulate to a full-fledged consulate, and that the services should not be interrupted, and you do not want Liberians in Minnesota and the entire Midwest to be subjected to further hardship. You are even worried now that the price has increased by $60, is even making matter worse. We hope that all of these things will be listening to, and that the president and the government will do the right thing that is in the best interest of Liberians in the Midwest, especially the great state. I mean, you move the consulate now from Brooklyn Center that gave Brooklyn Park, that gave birth to the CDC, to Roseville. Anyway, let me fit that. Thank you. Any final words before we take leave of you, sir?
Well, Mr. Sia, again, let me say thank you for the time, and we want to send this message out clear. We are not saying that the government of Liberia do not have the right to make whatever decision they want to make. We are making a plea here that let this consulate remain where it is and keep functioning the way it has been functioning until the establishment of a full consulate. We do not support the idea of VFS Global, and I'm on the record saying this. We do not support that. We are against it. And we are for the maintenance, that this consulate, we want this consulate to be maintained until the establishment of a full consulate. And we are asking on the president to probe into this if he is not aware of this, because I'm confused on one thing as I close, that this letter is not drafted directly from the office of the foreign minister. What is going on? If I may pull up my political thinking cap here, what is going on? This is not a legal issue. This is a diplomatic issue. Why is it coming from the office of the chief lawyer of the foreign ministry? I do not understand that. So we're asking the president to look into this. We look forward to, working with the president. We look forward to going to a table to negotiate this to the best way we can. But I can tell you for sure, Liberians in the diaspora or in the Midwest, that includes Minnesota and all other 11 states, will not relent until this consulate is retained. We will send our message to the president, and we believe our president will listen to us. Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. We appreciate you so very much. And folks in cyberspace, you have been watching the Hour of Politics here. I focus on Liberia with me, Anthony CA. Mr. Williams, we want to say thank you for giving us all that you know concerning this matter, which is very, very serious. Folks, we will take a short break. When we come back, we'll be opening the phone line for you to participate. What do you make of all this? That the honorary consulate here in Minnesota that has been operating to the satisfaction of the entire Midwest, serving thousands of Liberians who are moving into Liberia and carrying thousands and thousands of Liberians, raising millions of US dollars for the Liberian government, is being closed, and the process of transition is even confusing, bringing hardship and high costs to the people in the Midwest. What do you make of the fact that, in fact, the contract is being given to a Ghanaian company to operate? A Liberian has been providing these services, at least satisfactorily, for the community. Oh, Liberians are not good enough anymore to provide services for their own people? And that the consulate now is being closed, and something is being opened that does not resemble a consulate, an honorary consulate, and it's not even providing, or it will not be providing, all the services the honorary consulate has been providing for the Liberian people. And it had a cost to that. What do you make of all of that? And in all of that, are you hopeful that the right decision will be made? In addition to that, folks, we have an open mic here today, and we have other issues that we want to be asking you here, folks. We heard, it has been reported, that the alleged 70,000 thieves arrested in Sierra Leone. This person who was alleged, or it was alleged to have stolen the $70,000 intended for the We Are Tired Suffering rally of the CPP and ran away with the money allegedly, has been arrested. The news was brought to our attention today during a radio interview with the political leader of the ANC and the CPP, Mr. Alexander Melanie Cummings, that he's been arrested, and as we speak, he's been transported to Monrovia for investigation. Also, there is noise going around, folks. Lehman Bowie, the 2011 Nobel Peace Prize winner, said JMB is sick and JMB should retire, and he is in no position to run for president because he is sick. And she is calling on the Unity Party and JMB to do the right thing, to allow JMB to spend some time with his family and his grandkids. Is she the one to make that call, or the family? And because of what she said, this open letter she penned, Lehman Bowie is under attack from supporters of JMB, and she is also under sharp criticism from Liberians who see her action as not proper, and that this was a disrespect to JMB. She calls this man uncle, and this is the uncle now you read an open letter. He was saying you did not make a phone call that has been established. You did not talk to any family member. You did not wish him well. And the only thing that came from your mouth is a letter asking him why he is not well to step aside. Some people take serious exception to that. So much attacks are directed at her. Are the attacks against Lehman Bowie at her own invitation? Does she even have a plan? We want you to talk. It is your day. Also, has the CDC fallen out of favor with Prince Johnson? We understand there's supposed to be the program, to introduce President we are to the people of Nima. Are they campaigning in the first place, but strategically they are. And this young man who is now the Secretary General of the CDC, Jefferson Tamakoji, was there. Prince Johnson has been complaining that the CDC did not treat him and his party well. The supporter president, we had, they wanted some form of jobs, and they were not considered. They were not treated right. And now election coming again, and then they want Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson said, we're not going to give you that support. In fact, I don't want to meet President Weah, because President Weah is coming. We're supposed to be talking about serious issues. Then he coming with Eugene Namwe and Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimanya. I don't want to talk to those people. Those people have no fish to fry in the discussion and agreement that we have reached with the president, for which I supported him. And so if he wants my support again, he has to honor the first commitment that we reached. And Prince Johnson is also complaining, and not Prince Johnson alone, most of the lawmakers, or all of the lawmakers of Nima country are complaining. There is some form of money that should have gone to the county Nima based on the concession agreement with Metal Steel. They are saying they have not received their money. This is money that the county is entitled to because of the agreement signed between the Liberian government and Metal Steel. Prince Johnson is on record. All the senators are on record that the Liberian government has received the money, but the Liberian government is yet to give the portion of Nimba County to Nimba. Is Prince Johnson telling the truth? What do you know about this? You were listening to me. So in the midst of all this, Prince Johnson does not want to talk to President Weah. And you have Jefferson Kamakoji jumping in there and he said, well, people are making politics out of all this. And Prince Johnson is trying to divide the people of Nimba. Is Jefferson Tamakoji doing some things here? And Prince Johnson said, the little boy, he's so disrespectful, and he's known the people of Lofa to be very respectful. And he has not seen any form of disrespect to have come from Isama Lofa County that is coming from this little boy called Jefferson Tamakoji. He cited how Jefferson Tamakoji disrespected Louis Brown. Prince Johnson is not happy. Has he politically fallen out of favor with President? We are all the CDC has fallen out of favor with Prince Johnson politically. What is going on? It's your time to talk. I'm tired talking. So that's the politics we have. The embassy issue, the 70K, CDC falling out of favor, and the Lehman Bowie issue. We're taking a short break to get a full line all set. We want to hear from you. It's your time to speak, or you forever hold your peace. I will be right back. All right, folks, I'm back with you here. We have callers on the line already set to go. The man Elvis Morris is on it. Mr. Morris, let us hear you. You know the issues.
Thank you, Mr. Sear. And before we get into the issue, I just want to say, what this government is doing in regards to the honorary consulate is quite embarrassing and disgraceful. Like you stated rightly, CDC was founded right here in Minnesota. Along with George Weah, his brother Clarence, or around here around 2004, 2005. We remember them, and they're forgetting about, it's a sad thing to say. But let me just get into the issue of the day quickly. Jumping straight to the Prince Johnson issue, the people of Nima shouldn't be deceived. That's what happens when you have a man who has some kind of supernatural power over the people. Anything he says, you'll swallow it up. How do you think Prince Johnson, started to support George Weah? You don't think that Prince Johnson received a hefty package from the CDC-led government to support the president? Did he share any of that money with the people in Nima, or he took it at Village University? Let us be serious. The reality is, yes, George Weah hasn't prioritized, quote-unquote, the people of Nimba in his government, but he also, quote-unquote, bought their votes from the kingmaker. So they need to go ask Prince Johnson, what was his reason for supporting George Weah? Was it purely political, or was there something inside for him? So when he's doing all this talking, Prince Johnson is a loudmouth, and he shouldn't be, surprised that CDC has somebody to rebuff him. Whether Jefferson Koji is a small ball or not, CDC was talking piece, mouthpiece. So it's all politics, and Prince Johnson is trying to leverage. But let us not forget that the CDC government is also been warned by the U.S. State Department that it shouldn't be doing business with Prince Johnson. Mm-hmm. And we are trying to be in the good grace of the U.S. government. He has a meeting scheduled with Biden. If anything, funny goes on right now, that the U.S. will bring that up in a meeting with the president. So I think he's treading that. He's treading that, that relationship very carefully right now, because they know what happened during the 2017 election. They know very well what happened. and they don't want to see it repeated again. So the president got to be very careful with Prince Johnson. He's already on sanction. So if anything that he has to deal with Jeremiah Cohn, he got in the A to B also, unlikely because he's also very close to Prince Johnson. So if the government is in a tight spot and Prince Johnson is trying to put fire on their back, even though he knows they're not supposed to be doing business with him. And then quickly to Lena Bowie, I fully agree with what she said. Like I said earlier on my comments yesterday, reality is if you care about somebody and you see that what looks like they're being, pushed to something that might be detrimental to their health by people who are supposed to be, people that care about that person, and nobody is picking up about it as a person who likes that person or who loves that person. It's your duty. If my cousins are mistreating my auntie and they're pushing her to do things simply because they're her kids, and I know my auntie is unwell, as a nephew, I'm going to step in there and say, "Why are you doing this? You don't do this. Your mom is not well. Stop making her do things that's going to cause her even more, health problems." So I think Lima saying that in a public way, maybe it's unseemly, but her saying it at all is welcome. Because if your children are mistreating you, we who are the nephews and and the other family members are going to step in to protect you. If the two children can protect you, we who are extended family members who will do that. And I think she's really trying to protect JFB. Like I said, he could fully recover and be in good health a few months from now. But we know these things only goes downhill as you get older. He's not going to go back to being young and as healthy as he was 10 years ago. So her stating that is well within her right. I'll let other people come on. I just want to make those 2 points clear. Thank you so much for taking my call.
We appreciate your call, my friend. The man, Jimin Eastman, will go. Jimin?
Hey, Anthony, this is Jimmy calling you from the nation's capital. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Jimmy. It's good to hear from you. Let's go strictly into the issues.
All right. First of all, I'd like to go into this new console. What they call it,
the honorary consulate.
The honorary consulate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I am a pro-Liberian, very, very nationalistic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to even hear that you're taking bread from Liberian people's mouth and putting it in a foreigner mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I believe if there's something was wrong with the way the operations were going on with the former consulate, that they should have corrected it instead of giving this to a foreigner. We have to promote our Liberians. We have to promote Liberianization. We have to promote professionalism amongst Liberia. If we're not doing it right, giving it to a foreigner is not the solution. Half the things in Liberia going on, the Farmington Hotel, all the things are being owned and controlled by foreigners. We have to control our own economics, okay? And if this is a pure example of how we are giving away control for whatever reason. I'm not going to accuse anybody, but they should come up with a justification for this move. And we haven't heard any explanation, and I'm totally against it. If I let me go to Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
This elderly statesman is wise, and he's been around a long time. No one pushing him. Nobody's pushing him. He wants to be this. He wants to be president. He could have gotten out of it several times, but he wants this position. So coming up and saying the people pushing him, I heard accusations of elderly abuse. No, it's his own aspiration. I totally don't believe that somebody forcing GMD to do this. I think GMD is a sound mind and knows what he wants, and that is why he is pursuing this course. Okay, and the other topic you mentioned, what was it?
Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson, has he fallen out of favor with the CDC?
Yes, Prince Johnson is muddying the water. Prince Johnson is, the last I read on front page that he's putting up a candidate. Okay, Prince Johnson is trying to leverage. He's always used leverages throughout from the time I've been knowing him, even before he ascended to becoming a senator, he knows how to leverage. He knows how to bargain. He knows where his bargaining chips are, and he uses his bargaining chips for the best to his best of his advantage. I see how he used it when he only had a small ragtag army caught between those soldiers and the Kyle Taylor rebels. He leveraged his small position so excellently that the Americans backed him, and he was the one that ushered in Ekimov. So he knows how to leverage. So yes, he's this. According to them, they are disappointed with what they were awarded or accorded since the inception of this government. So now he wants to leverage whatever support he will get in Lima for it. It's nothing new he's doing. I think the CDC has to take very, very keen notice, because the pathway to the next presidency is getting more and more obscure. You see the division in the Liberty Party. You see the toss-up in Lofa. You notice the success of CPP in Montserrado. All these saying that the dynamics of this next election are going to be different. So they have to really pick, and Prince Johnson, the reason why he doesn't want to talk to Nande and the other guy they brought, because they were not part of his negotiations. This is a one-on-one. This was a one-on-one between he and Weah. So his position is clear. He's trying to leverage. He's trying to leverage, and we're going to see a lot more when we get closer and closer to the 2023 election.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right, let's go to the man, John Maulo. Mr. Maulo, you alive?
How you doing, Anthony? It's been long. Happy New Year.
It's been long, my man. I miss your critique of me. You got some today? Let's do it.
It can't always be of you. Listen, as far as the consular, how to call it, honorary consul,
right,
in Minnesota is concerned, listen, the passport issue, when you're talking about biometric and passport, it's a national security thing. That's the reason why we don't print passport in Liberia, because we don't have the security to control it. That's the reason why they only issue passports at the embassy. That's the reason. You don't take your passport and give it to Ghanaians. In fact, taking it from Liberians and giving it to Ghanaians, if they do something, what are you going to do with them? Come and arrest them in America? You know, if they sold the passport, what are you going to do with them? If a Liberian does it, you can have the American government deport them to Liberia, you put them in jail. If a Ghanaian does it, what do? You see, that's where the security issue conflicts with people seeking their personal interest. You cannot do that. Now, you had a Liberian doing it. The only reason why Liberia appoints foreigners, even any country for that matter, appoints foreigners to be the honorary consul, that when you don't have a Liberian with enough influence in that area, in that country, to be able to do it. So you appoint somebody who is very influential to have some leverage with the government. So that's why you appoint foreigners. But they don't do passport issue. They're supposed to be able to fill in the papers and send the thing to the embassy, let the embassy directly send you a passport and biometric and all those kind of things. You know, we're putting ourselves more into a security no man's land. Every time we do something stupid, we already don't have security. And then you putting the burden on the new government now to have to change all the passports again and start all over. You see what we're doing to ourselves? Extra expense for nothing. It happened in the interim government time where these guys were carrying hand grips full of passports. And I saw them with my eyes. I argued with them several times, telling them to Thailand to go sell Liberian passport officials of the government. And they play with me, I will call names.
Yeah, please call names. Call names. That's your right to call names.
Bag of mouthful is one. Handgrave load or passport to you, to Asia to go and sell it. You know? Several times I confronted him in Paris about it. So that's not something that when you see John Ware, that's what they saw it. They were the first that interim government first start selling passports like that.
And
all over Europe.
Yeah.
Everybody had Liberian passport, official and diplomatic. And I tell you, you know how much they were selling it?
No.
One diplomatic passport was $25,000 US. One official was $10,000 US. And these guys were buying it like, because the people wanted to do business duty free.
Wow.
So they were buying it.
And John,
so they started this thing a long time ago.
Yeah, John, let's come to the other issue. The $70,000, the alleged thief for that money has been arrested in Sierra Leone and is being transported to Liberia as we speak, according to your political leader, Mr. Elizana Mbelede Cummings. This has been something like a bone in your throat, something that I've said repeatedly. You must be feeling good. Talk to us. What do you know more than what Mr. Cummings has revealed?
Well, I definitely will never know more than what Mr. Cummings knows. The issue here is that Liberian people, sometimes we got to be patient. We got to be patient, especially when it comes to security matters. Sometimes you just got to be patient. You talk too much, you make the fugitive run. Now, nobody knew that the CPP were after this guy killed. You saw him on phone. He didn't say where he was, this and that. But the CPP were after a trail. Now, for those who said preemptively that, oh, they're not doing anything, or they said they would do this, now what do they have to say? Sometimes security matter is a shut matter. You don't expose, you don't talk too much in the security world. You act. You got to go like a lion. You creep behind the target, and then you grab it. And that's what happened. I don't think he knew that they knew where he was. And they crept on him, and now he's in custody. Now we're waiting to hear what all he has to say, and then, the procedure is ongoing. We said there was an internal investigation. Now they know what the internal investigation are using, because we're waiting for Liberian National Police. It was not going to happen, so, I mean, it's just, telling Liberian people, sometimes you just got to be calm and wait.
And John, before I gave you the opportunity to go to the other issues, I want to say I think the way it was done well, and I want to say congratulations to the leaders of the CPP who pursued this until they were able to get this guy arrested. And then what I said was, I'm not sure what you people were doing, because we were not getting updates. We felt that you were quiet. And now that you have arrested, this guy is being arrested. That is a good thing. So, John, talk to us about Lehman Bowie and Prince Johnson is making a lot of noise. Yeah, he's not feeling the love. Your take, quickly.
I gave an analogy yesterday to a friend I was talking to. I said, you know why African people can cry so much at their funeral? Because they never prepare. We will see things in front of our eyes. We will see our relatives, our friends, in a precarious situation, and we still want to tell ourselves it will not happen. I mean, all people will still be hiding their insurance information from people. In fact, they don't even want you to discuss it because they're not going to. Look, what Lehman Bowie said is what, if you realize 75% is not more of Liberians are saying in their heart. She just said it openly. And some people say, oh, why she didn't go to the people quietly? For her to come out, it's because people have been talking to these people. They don't want to hear it. This thing is just, people asking who's the medical doctor to just look at somebody who looks at a logo and has a psychological assessment of them to call that logo. Look, certain things are just plain to the eye. What she said is what most Liberians are feeling, but not brave enough to say. She has said it. And you will see more people will come out as time goes by to say, we're not wishing anything bad for the former VP. But what she said is what I would tell my own father. What she said is what I would tell my own mother. Because that's the truth. That's the truth. Because the pressure hasn't even started yet. And you see what happened. The first pressure carried the man to the hospital and they had to get him a pacemaker. Can you imagine what this pressure is like?
And what pressure are you talking about, and where is the pressure coming from?
He said on 50-50 that because of the last election, he had to go to the hospital to have a medical procedure, and they gave him a pacemaker. Okay, now this election going to be even more intense than that. So for somebody to say you'll get a man chance to rest, the campaign don't start until maybe 3-4 months from now. What's wrong with that? If he is healthy enough, he can come back. But look, if that guy were my father, I put all the Unity Party people out of the house. Nobody coming there. I don't want to hear nothing until this man is better. I'll put all of that out. I don't want to hear nothing. He's not going to be involved in nothing until he feels better. If he feels better, we'll let you come back in. Until then, if he doesn't feel better, you'll go find something else to do with your life. You're not coming back in here. He will die in our hands, but you're not going to be the cause of him dying.
So John, you are agreeing. John, you are agreeing with Lehman that JMB is in no position because of his health and age to not and should not run. Do you agree with that?
No, his age is not so much of an issue to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened the last time, although they're trying to hide it, the visible image
mm-hmm.
of what we see, though we're not doctors, as people want to contest. But if he was my dad, looking at him, that we just saw it on picture, I'm sure his children having a closer look, looking at him in that state, I would want him to be free of everything political right now until he feels better. And so what Lemma Bowie said is something I would say to my own parents. So I don't see anything wrong with
John, the concerns people are having, and for which Lima is on fire right now, she refers to Vice President Joseph Yimambuaka as uncle. She did not place a phone call. She did not reach out to any family member. She did not wish the man well, other than an open letter. Let me learn. You have time. Other than an open letter, telling this man, hey, you're sick, you're not well, so please don't run. And even calling on Unity Party. And because this is the thing, right? Lema Bowie is a leader in our country. She's one of our heroes, if I can pull it that way, for lack of a better way to pull it, right? So she is credited for helping to bring peace in Liberia. And the conflict we have, politics was part of it. And this is how sometimes it starts. So she sees something that she knows and sees is not pleasant for our politics. Why she can go in there and start having and call them to a meeting that, hey, I think this is what we should do, other than just throwing letter out there in the open space. And this is not her first time. This is her third time writing open letter, and then she hides her hand. Is that the best way if somebody who is a peace laureate will engage responsibly? Especially to an uncle, that's what people are saying.
I don't think you verbalizing it correctly to say she hid her hand. If she was hiding her hand, she won't put her name on it.
Okay.
She's not hiding her hand.
Okay.
So who told us that she hadn't had this conversation with his family or people around him? Who told us that? We don't know that. And from what I can tell you, most of even the Unity Party people, some of them having that conversation. The problem there is it's too late to do anything about it. That's why if you look in the continuation of her
and do you really believe that it's too late, John? Do you really believe it's too late?
What are you going to do? Find a new presidential candidate?
Isn't that what the ANC wants?
It's too late. No. They actually want competition. We've been asking for competition ever since.
Do you
That's why they
really?
ran away from the
Will you rather have Joseph Walker in the race while you compete and you think you stand a chance?
Why not?
You tell me how you will get a chance.
This illusion, that most people who come and talk out loud have about, is the biggest party? Is it? What's the empirical data to that? What's the empirical data? When last did anybody do a count since the last election? So all those things are imagination. So they keep on saying it doesn't make it too. We asked for competition from the CPP origin, and that's why the United Party ran. Because we said we want a competition. If you beat us, you see the difference between Cummings and the rest of these guys? Cummings not looking for a job. If you beat Cummings go on to do his thing. If you don't, he go on to change the country. Most of them is their end. After this, nothing else. You see, that's the difference. And that's why Cummings always have a competition.
And finally, John,
you beat them in this thing, they don't know what else to do. They are not doing anything before, they got nothing to do after.
And finally, John, and thank you for correcting me that she actually did not have a hand. She pulled her name and even her pen to her words, and she pulled it in the public space. So that is now how one has his or her hand. And thanks for pointing that out to me. And John, finally, Prince Johnson. You heard me. All Prince Johnson saying right now. What's your reading into all this politically?
Look, let me say. I would say it this way, right? Liberian people got to start seeking their own interests and start loving their country more. If the people of Nimba County and the Liberian people in general, for that matter, don't know or understand Prince Johnson yet, let them imagine what they want. Look, they say when somebody tell you who they are, believe them. Has this man done anything differently since? Even the war, to go and convince Lima County people that he fought for them when the whole while he was in Canwell, it's still over my mind. So if this man so good, I can join you to think that he's seeking your interest when everything he's gotten, it was for him. Can anybody tell me a senator's salary can make you build university, can make you do this and do that? Look, listen, Prince Johnson has his goal, has his objective. It is up to the people of Nimba and the Liberian people to see through the line.
Thank you.
How they call them? CDC decided to sell their soul to the devil. The devil always eat their own baby. So that was going to be.
Thank you, John, and thank you so very much for your participation here. I see that the man Evan Morris is back on the line. Something might have been poking him again. And Morris, before you come in, looking far back, this is a Daily Observer newspaper. When the CDC, and actually this is dated Friday, March 22nd, 2013, the CDC was on record of calling PYJ a war criminal. It is that war criminal now they went into a political deal with that gave them the power that they are enjoying today. And this is the Prince Johnson. Now they are not in favor with right now. And can the Prince Johnson man be trusted? Because if anything he's been clever at, is to put fear in any political actor so that that political actor will come crawling to his knees with whatever he wants. And once he gets it, he trades the votes, he benefits, Nima gets cheated, but then Nima remains loyal to him. This is CDC on record, 2013, Friday, March the 22nd, calling Prince Johnson a war criminal. And even their party leader will be pouring is Prince Johnson University. Lord have mercy. This is the politics that these people want us to be involved with in this way. F. Morris is back on the line. Let us hear you, my friend.
Yeah, Mr. C, I wanted to call. I called back in because I had one or two other points to make, and I think it was pressing enough.
Do
But
that.
one of the things you're talking about, Prince, you hear me well?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Right. This thing with Prince Johnson, let us not let us not be confused. The reality is, CDC is desperately, desperately wants to negotiate with Prince Johnson, but their hands are tied. Like I said earlier, that's one of the brilliant things that perhaps if people say Cummings are the one that advocated for the sanction, that was brilliant on his part because CDC hands are tied right now. That little sugar they got from the U.S. government with Biden, we have wants more. So he's not willing to do anything to jeopardize that relationship that he thinks he's building with the U.S. government by trying to, do business with the Simpson Prince Johnson. You know, so the thing with the war criminal and all the other things, we all know those, those are true, although he hasn't been convicted of it. But the reality is, he has a stronghold over the people of Niba, and Niba is a rich, both rich countries. So CDC, if they had everything their way, they will go onto the negotiation table with Prince Johnson, pretty much give him whatever he wants, get him to raise their hand again for a second term, but they can't do that openly. And they're trying to have backdoor dealings, and they know the U.S. government is watching them keenly, especially before the president comes back to Washington in March. He doesn't want to have anything to do with Prince Johnson right now because that's going to be brought up to that meeting and it's going to be embarrassing and probably even things that he's expecting to get, the U.S. government is going to withhold it, especially if he's dealing with Prince Johnson. But I have a suggestion. Perhaps it won't come to pass, but this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. That's why I call back.
Okay.
My suggestion is, what if JMB, he made a statement that he wants to have somebody as his running mate who is going to be like him with integrity and this and that. What if he brings Taiwan Gonglo into the fold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe have a collaboration with, Gonglo's party and give him the standard bearership and have, one of the compromises will be maybe he takes Amara Corner as his vice president, and that way Joseph Boyka can have somebody at the head of the ticket who is like him, who has integrity, who has served the country for many years, but also have a unity party stalwart like Conan, who is going to be an excellent vice president, a great financial mind. And Jordan B can step aside knowing that he has somebody there who is going to do a good job, who has the integrity that he has. That could be something that could come to pass where everybody wins and the old man can rest and retire. I just want to bring that up there, for food for thought and maybe you can tell me what you think about that idea. Maybe it's a crazy idea, or maybe it's something that could work. So I just want to bring that up and see what you think about it. That's why I was calling back in. Thank you again for taking me.
Thank you, Evans. We appreciate your call. And to that, Mr. Evan Morris, it is GMB's call. It is one of those things anybody can make suggestion, but he has the final say as to who he picks to be his vice presidential candidate. So that is his call. The sooner he does that, the better it's going to be for him. There are a lot of great options out there. I believe Tier 1 is a great option, but Tier 1 will have to want it too. Why, if he thinks and believes that he can also, like JMB, be able to win this thing, Tier 1 is on record for saying he will win the first round. Can you imagine that? Tier 1 said he can win the thing by 65%. His own words. This is the business we're in. When we quote them accurately. So does he believe that actually? And is he going to stick to that? Is he going to, lower his expectation and hopes, to build something? It's up to the both of them what they do, and their parties too are even at their own mercy, right? Because JMB can say no to the party, or he can decide to listen to the party. So this is something that he needs to do, and I think the sooner he does it, the better it's going to be for him. Because the last time he chose a vice presidential candidate, he did it very late in the game. There was no time for the people who were shocked by that announcement to have processes to come around. So I can only say that he should not waste too much time with this. Another example that I can give you is John McCain. John McCain in 2008, when he went against President Barack Obama, chose Sarah Palin very late in the game. So it shocked the Republican Party. The Republican Party, a good number of them, they were in disbelief. Now they needed time to say, wait a minute. They needed time to say, okay, what is going on here? And to accept and to come around. But there was not much time left for them to process the decision that was made by John McCain. Now, whether or not that was the only thing responsible for McCain's defeat, I can't say so. It was more so because the politics were against the Republican Party. But you cannot dismiss that that decision was cocky and was not the best decision McCain could have made. But that was his decision, So Sarah Palin, I'm not sure if she energized the base that much. The Tea Party thing was strong at the time, but she was not more of a better representation for the Tea Party, and I think it contributed to McCain's defeat. So Bouakai now has to learn the lesson of 2017 when he decided on a Nunkwe who was in the legislature and have no good record, and he made a decision on the basis of money, according to some folks, that Bouakai needed money, he didn't have money, and people felt that Nunkwe has some money. So the decision was based on money. Will the decision now be based on money again? Because we know for a fact Joseph Yumon Bouakai does not have money. That is why we know, until we are proving otherwise. Well, of late, when he went to the hospital, according to Mr. Michael Holders, the chaplain of the Liberian Senate, he said, this is a reverend, so I won't think he's lying. He said that it was Joel Howard Taylor that paid the recent medical bill at EAW Hospital where Joe Bouakai was hospitalized for 1 week. Could it be that Joe Bouakai didn't have money, that why Joel Howard Taylor have to step in? At some point, the CDC wanted to step in and airlift him. If he had your own money, I'm sure you would be more than glad to be responsible for your own hospital bill. So many things we can look at. Joe Bouakai himself is on record for saying, well, I don't have money, but I have people. So if the decision was made when he chose Nunkwe, so as he would bring money to the ticket, to the campaign, and the money thing still lingers. So why is this thing difficult? Why can't he find somebody with the money and give us? But now Bouakai is also on record for saying he wants somebody who is like him, somebody who has integrity, somebody who will be transparent, somebody who have credibility. I think there are people in Liberia who have credibility. Let him just find one and make a decision. But against the time he makes the decision, who he chooses, that is his decision and not mine. As a political, commentator and somebody in the business of media, I think it's best if he makes the decision sooner than late in the game. Because whoever he picks, if the pick is not attractive enough to majority, he will have to give them time to process it, to give them that wait and see time, and to come around and see what other options are there. And if the other options are not better, then it will come around, and he too would need time to convince his supporters and surrogates and other people who would disagree with that decision, to give them reason why they should accept that decision. And so he need all that time to do so. And more so, this is one of the most consequential decisions JMB has to make, given the reality that he's advanced in age, his health is not as excellent. It could be me at that age, my health will not be excellent. People who are even far younger than him do not have excellent health. So anything is possible. There is a what we call the incapacitation clause within our Constitution. So he can well become president. And in the event, God forbid, something happens to him, and as a man who wants to see his country in a better place, he wants to be sure that whoever he picks is competent to provide the kind of leadership or government that he, Bouakai, envisages, right? So somebody competent, somebody transformational, somebody with bold ideas. But the thing is that Bouakai even have bold ideas. If he doesn't have bold ideas, I would rather him pick somebody with bold ideas. Or if he can't find somebody with bold ideas, somebody who has smart ideas, or somebody knowledgeable and who has the boss to make decisions. Somebody who, the options are up to him, and we can't do much other than to analyze and tell him, yeah, your options, the better you do it, the better it will be for you, and maybe, and just maybe, for our country, Liberia. Folks, in cyberspace, that is all I have time for. Thanks to those who called and participated. To those who wrote comments, because of time, I'm sorry I cannot get to the comments. But as always, I read all the comments, especially the ones that come after me and correct me, and I always appreciate those ones as well. So, folks, this is how we will come to the end of yet another edition of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things our dear country, Liberia. And folks, we here at Focus on Liberia, we are raising some money. We want to increase our operation, extend our operation to the counties in Liberia. We are not asking you for your entire saving. We are only asking you for $10, $15, $20, $50, $100, wherever you can afford. Our cash app number is on the screen right there for you to see. That number is 651-392-6224. And for the cash app name is the $FOL Media. We would appreciate whatever little you can chip in. We want to be able to hire more reporters in the county. We want to be able to get them devices. We want to make sure we get them transportation. We want to be able to get them, their compensation for at least 6 months, so that Focus on Liberia will be in there covering the election. We are already in the process of putting together training manuals for our reporters, how for them to carry on election reporting. There's a different way to report when it comes to election, so that you can raise people's temper and then bring about chaos. We will definitely appreciate whatever little you can chip in, so that we can achieve our fundraising goal. With that said, folks, I will want to say thank you, and thank you always for following our broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. As always, the song that says we are all Liberians closes the broadcast right now. Enjoy that song, and until we see you again, my name is Munansie. My name is Blossie. My name is Namwesie. They call me Ansonin Sie as well. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye for now.
We are Liberians.